in the studio tonight. I said, welcome to everyone. And we thank you so much. As you can see, the title of this video here on the Naked Truth is the Bible the complete Word of God? Right? I believe I made a mistake there. So it's Word, but we'll change that later on. Anyway, but that's what it is today, and that's what we're going to discuss here as we continue. This is part 3 of where we left off. So we was in Deuteronomy 28. I believe we were at chapter 37. That's where we stopped actually the last time. So we're here again, and welcome to everyone, and greetings and blessings to you all. Praises be unto the Most High, the Creator of all things. Without Him, we would not be here. So honor, blessings, and glory unto His mighty name forever and evermore. So we're here today. Welcome to the Naked Truth. As you know, what we do here, we are being blunt as possible. No sugarcoating, nothing. We're just dealing with just the title as you see it in the background here. The Naked Truth. That's it. No clothing, no covering, no shame, nothing. Just the pure, raw, organic truth. That's what we're dealing with here. So yes, and here we go again. Another series, another segment. And this is part 3, right? You know why we're doing it in like this, part 1, 2, and 3. It's not really important, but just the subject is so vast, right? There's so many things to uncover. There's so many things to discuss. There's so many things to talk about. There's a lot to cover, right? So the reason why I said part 1, 2, and 3 is because we when we begin to elaborate on different fractions of what the Bible is and different parts of it, it's a huge thing. You understand? And we have to break it down and dissect it into different parts. So it's a lot to cover in just 1 or 2 or 3 videos, right? So we're trying to split it, in different parts, just to create and more interest, right? The show start at 7 and we end at about 9, somewhere there. So we have some time to actually talk, and I hope you guys today can leave some comments and ask some questions as well. We are hoping here to hear what you have to say regarding the Bible, regarding Christianity. We're dealing with the Bible in a whole, so we're basically dealing with everything that the Bible has to offer, right? So we're dealing with laws. We're dealing with the way that men supposed to conduct themselves in righteousness. We're talking about God. We're talking about the prophecies. We're talking about revelation. We're talking about the adoption. We're talking about basically everything. We're talking about the Gentiles, the original people, and when I said original, it kind of create a separation between what modern people are. But so let's not use the term original. Let's talk about the people that exist and their descendant exists. So we will talk about the ancient people, or the people that was before this generation. So the generation just didn't change because somebody said so, right? And you tend to get this in most of it. Yeah, you tend to get most of this idea through learning institutions, or your wherever you learn, how you was indoctrinated. You tend to gravitate to that platform. So you'll reference information based on what you have learned, not what you know or what you think you know that is truthful to you within yourself, but what someone already established and present to you and tell you this is what the truth is. And because you you were taught this at a young age. This is what you're using to balance, everything that you know. I mean, things that are in the present moment and in the future as well. So, because you have learned this at a younger age, this is how it becomes. It becomes a program that control how you think, what you project, right? And this is what the learning, what academia basically is. It's a formatted education. It's formatted in a certain way to keep you in this box. So you have people that they put in place. Well, okay, you are a professor, you are a doctor, you're a teacher. There are different levels of what they call professionalism and who is good at what and what is what. And so you can't say that you're good at something unless you go through that institution. That's how it was designed. So you can't just say, well, I can build furniture. I didn't go to school for it. You can do that on your own, using your own creative, means. But you couldn't go to, say maybe a job site, and they're going to take your word that, they're looking for credentials, right? So you have to present something to show them that, well, okay, I finished this course, and this is the document that I got when I finished it, according to the standard, and the regulation in the state or the country or society, however you want to call that. So there you would have to bring the certification to say, well, see, I have this paper. I can show it to you. I finished the course, and this is how they graded me based on what was asked of me to do, and according to my knowledge and how I understand it. So I was graded based on the standard that's set. So you have to meet whatever the standard is. You have to meet that standard, right? In order for you to say that you're qualified enough to even be in a position to do that particular job or whatever it is. So the learning institutions have a certain control. They have a certain program that is set in place. So you're basically going to school because you're learning a recipe. And this recipe, has to do with how you function. I don't want to say function, but I want to say it has to do with how much you can contribute to sustain the society where you live, or the system, basically. So that's where we are with that, right? So what we have learned, kind of have certain control on our psyche, right? The way that we think, and how we analyze things outside based on the information that is stored. Most of the time, we're not thinking about what we know. What we know, from our hearts, right? For deep inside what we know, and we, even when we analyze whatever they say to us, but because everybody is doing this one thing, and this is how we question it. Oh, well, everybody's doing it, so this must be right. We tend to do that. We tend to say, well, everyone is doing it, so this must be right. It can't be wrong. Everybody is doing it. Who else? I see this guy doing it, this guy doing it. That means you're wrong. Then you automatically you blame yourself and say, well, okay, I'm wrong then. Maybe this is the right way to go. So even the majority would be doing this doesn't mean that it's right, right? So we kind of dismiss our truth, not feelings, but what we know. What we know about whatever research or whatever investigation or whatever, connection we make to certain information, we will denounce ourselves because we're taking what we were taught from a toddler, right? Going to preschool, whatever. We take these information now become a part of the program. And this program, we're using this program to analyze everything, life, to communicate, to work, to just engage in the system, to engage with other people, to encounter other things out there. Everything that we're going to encounter and do, we have to go back to what we were learned, right? Or what we were taught, right? From young age and to adulthood. So we go back into this information that was programmed in us. But that, it's basically a program. This is how we get back into ourselves and trying to ask questions like, okay, this has to be right. So the standards that's been set are the things that they standardize within the society. We wouldn't question it, even though we analyze it and knew that it's wrong. For example, they said it's 4 weeks, right? Makes a month, right? 4, right? No, they teach us in school, right? That 1 week, okay, is 7 days. So the beginning of the week is supposed to be Sunday, right? According to, that it's their rules, right? That's the rule that they made these rules, right? And they teach us that 4 weeks would make the month, right? And right, 4 weeks would make no 7 days make a week, and 4 weeks would make a month. Now, if you had that up, right, 4 weeks, which 7 days, right, that would give you 28 days, right? You can do it for yourselves, count it yourself. 4 weeks, only 4 weeks, they say, make this month. Now, because of this programming that we believe in so much, whether or not it is true, whether or not it is lie, and we use this to continue our lives we're living, and we'll tell everybody, yes, 4 weeks make a month, and nobody questions, nobody say nothing. We just go along with it. The professors, those who went to these, claim that they, went to these higher learning or these other, society that teach them, and they are, they have so much different accolades, different things. And they're on this high level, and their IQ is through the roof. These very people that their IQ is like, oh my, outer space somewhere, they will tell you that 4 weeks make them up, because that's the standard, right? It's the normal thing. It's the common thing. They would tell you that 4 weeks, right, makes 1 month. Now, if you argue with them and say, no, 4 weeks makes a month, that's what they say. That's what we were taught. So how do you defend something? But that's what you learned. No, they're telling you that some months have 31 days. How did that happen? How did we get from 28 to 31 to 31, right? How do we leave from 28 to 31? Just think about that for a second. So 3 extra days are added to the 28 days, but yet they're telling us to believe that 4 weeks makes a month. And they tell us about leap year and all these nonsense. And not only that, but this is, I'm just giving you an example, right, of how we have been indoctrinated, and we're unaware of what's going on, even within the very society that taught us to function within that society. There are a lot of deception and lies existing there. For what reason? That's a question that you have to ask yourself. For what reasons? Right? For what reason does this thing exist? For what? 4 weeks, 1 month, 28 days. Now we have 30 days, 31 days in some months. So you know what I mean, beg the question, right? What is really going on? We would like to know what's going on. Or should we live with this lie without questioning anything, and just say, okay, it's a lie, but let's go with it? And that's basically what people do within the society. We just go along, okay, whatever. It's 28 days, so let's just go with it, right? That's it. It's nothing else to do, right? 28 days, let's go with it. That's it. We don't need anything else, right? 28 days, we're just going to do that, and whatever is whatever. That's it. Remember, when you think about it, or not, that's not the only thing that is wrong within the society, and we still go along with it without questioning anything. We're satisfied with what we have learned through their institution. It becomes normal to us to just believe it. They say that. Now they even tell us about the daylight. What is it? That daylight saving time, right? So this is when the time when they say the winter solstice and all of these things and the shifting and the days are longer. I don't know where they came from with that. Because if you go to another country, maintain the same time, nothing changes. The same day, 6 o'clock, the sun goes down every single day. Because the time just measured based on the ancient system, right? And these people sat down and they observed the sun, they observed the moon, they observe these things, right? And, by observing these things, they figure out how we can say this and time this or give a what you'd call that. They will give a precise prediction on where the sun would be at a certain time, or when the sun is in the middle of the sky. So they'll probably put a piece of stick in the earth there, and they'll mark the shadows, right? As the sun go down, the shadows will remain the same. And if you do that today the same way, in America, you realize that time didn't actually change. They're the one who changed the time. And so it's just an illusion. Nothing really happened, and they're going to change it back when the summer comes to say, well, you have a longer time. We take back an hour, and just to make it seem like you have a longer day. And we give back an hour during the winter to make it seem as if the days are more short, right? So, nobody want to be outside in the cold. So this is just, as I'm saying, it's time didn't get longer, really. It didn't. It didn't get longer. They just changed the time on this mechanical device and have us thinking, because we govern by this. We govern by knowing, okay, what time is it? We want to know. These, as I said, these things become standard, right, in this community, our society. So we function based on that. We learn. Our whole learning and programming is based on what we interact with. These things that, we interact with, right? I mean, mechanical things, physical things, whatever it is, we interact with these components. So, of course, everything is based on what we've learned in school. We apply that understanding to everything that exists from this learning, what we were taught in school, basically. So it's a lot of things that doesn't go the way that it's supposed to. But we kind of just vaguely like, okay, whatever. It's not affecting your life. So it seems. Nobody's been affected by this. So it seems. So we continue to just believe that without questioning anything and said, okay, well, that's it. I mean, I'm not hurt by this. So, okay, fine. So everybody go ahead with that narrative, basically. Now, the Bible speak a lot of things, and I'm trying to kind of just kind of discuss few little things in the beginning here until some of the fans or the people start to come in. So we're basically waiting for them to come in. So I'm here just chit chatting with you guys, kind of giving you some brief breakdown of certain things. And yes, we do have a lot to talk about, because religion become a thorn, right? And this thorn in our side or in our foot, it becomes that. It definitely becomes that. I know the definition of religion, what it means. But, as I said, definition tends to change after a certain time. People begin to change to make it, to give it some kind of, credibility, to make it make sense, right? So they'll change a lot of these things as time. If you look the definition, then now it becomes different, and what the meaning of it is, and how people are based on their feelings today in the society. They try to just to soothe everything with just whatever lies. Even they know it's a lie. They know it's not true, but just we just want people to be comfortable living the lies or the deception that they're living. So just tell them this, whatever. You live the way you want to live. And that's basically it. So it is a thorn, and because we have learned this, and this is why I say this to all of the descendants, right, of slaves, because our history, right, our culture, our customs, the way that our language, right, you have to be very careful even when we talk about what the Hebrew language is. We have to be very careful with this. And what are we saying when we're saying things in these language, because we don't know. Just remember, as the Bible tells us before, that we were discontinued, the children of Israel, right? And they shall be discontinued from their heritage, right? And so because of this, there are a lot of things that we need to look into going forward before we begin to absorb everything, right? Then we have to understand, what's taking place. So there's a lot. There's a lot to thing. I'm searching something in the meantime here. There's a lot to absorb, right? So we definitely have to try our best to understand what's going on, right? So the society and the people that live within that society, when you read the Bible, the people, there was a nation of people, not the world or what they call the world today, right? But this nation of people were what you'd say isolated. They never had contact with other groups of people. The only time you learn about groups of people that they contacted with is in the scriptures, right? And they will tell you that they had a war with these different people. It's because of that why they encountered these other. Besides that, it was no friendly going around and meeting and greeting other group of people like that, right? It was more like everybody was to themselves. Everybody had their own gods. You have, throughout the land at that time, you had the people all over, right? So you had a lot of people all over the world, all over the place who, they believe in their own God, right? They have their own developed system about what they believe and think their God is. And everybody had that. Up to the early centuries is when the Israelites, whatever residue of the people that left behind, are those who, were expelled and kind of scattered all over the place. And then you had the Inquisition, and you had the Crusade, and they were hunting these people, trying to find them, because they know how dangerous these people would be to their rise. So they had to find a way. They had to find a way. They had to find a way to kind of fix that. And that's the problem. So they was hunting people down, and they were trying to, whoever they could kill, and to convert to this new religion, right? So Constantine, we're going to get into the history of, what they call Christianity. Basically, Christianity are people who supposedly follow who they call Christ. Now, Christ, right? We're talking about who they call the Christ, right? So we're talking about that. So we're talking about Christ, right? And followers of Christ would now call themselves Christian. So it sounds weird, right? Christian, Constantine, Christianity, Christmas. Just listen to those words, and just pronounce and how similar and close these words are, right? They're related in some way. They're related more than you think. So basically, those are followers of Christ, who say they are followers of Christ. These people say that they are Christians, right? They practice this religion, right? And religion is something where I guess people can just buy themselves into it or just be a part of it. But see, you cannot be an Israelite. Israel is a people, a nation of people, just like you can't be a Chinese, right? You can't just leave America and go to China and say you're Chinese. You have to be, you have to be a part of that ethnic group. You have to be a part of that. Do you understand me? You can't just fit yourself into somebody's family and say that you are one of their family members, right? So it's not something that you can fit in. What you can do, you can live among them. You can learn what they learn and know it. But that still doesn't make you one of them. You get what I'm saying to you? So even when the Bible said that Israel, right, Israel will sojourn, right? Israel will sojourn. So when the Bible said Israel will sojourn, right? Not Israel, but if those who sojourn among Israel mean that these people can live among Israel, they also have to follow the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. They have to do that. So the law would be there, and those of them who probably like the lifestyle and admire that lifestyle and say, yo, these people are living, it's good. This is something good that I feel like I want to do it. You can become an Israelite, not an Israelite, but you can, what you call a conversion still doesn't make you that person, right? From the word convert mean there's a change, but they are just not to adapt, but to begin to follow certain principles, certain laws that are intended for these group of people. But you have to follow all of the customs, right? It means that you have to circumcise yourself and your children. Your children cannot be bloodline because you follow a person's custom, right? You can't be a Chinese if you follow Chinese custom. So if you learn, say people today in this modern time, they know, okay, Chinese, they associate them with Kung Fu and, other different combats, right? You can learn this. That doesn't mean that you're a Chinese. You can learn Tai Chi, you can learn Taekwondo. You understand me? You can learn these art forms from the people that is known, you understand me, for doing those things, but still doesn't make you a Chinese. If you understand. I will kind of reiterate this later on as we go back through, as I'm waiting for some of the people to come in, so we can really get down into the meat of the matter. Right? So we're talking about, one second. Okay. So now we're talking, it doesn't matter. So first, so the Israelites are a group of people. So the people that are responsible, some of the information in this book, the people that are responsible for this, they were and still are a group or a nation of people by bloodline. Blood. When I say bloodline, it means that they're family, they're connected. So not everyone can become an Israelite. You cannot. Do you understand what I'm saying? The only way you can become an Israelite is if, and you can't become that as an individual if you were not. You'd have to produce a seed with an Israelite male that bring that child in. This is the only way to get in. That means it's not even you. You can't get in. It's your child or giving birth to that child, which with that bloodline, that child will be able to get the promises, the covenant, and all of the gifts and all the glory and the blessings will go to that child. He will become a part of that promise. Outside of that, cannot happen. So Christianity emerged, and I would say it began to spread during the 14th, so centuries, right? And it began to spread, and you have all these other groups of people. I mean, in Europe and other places, begin to take hold of this and become, that which, because remember, after the fall of the Israelite, now you're talking about 70 AD, so just count from then how many years after when Islam came about, and then Christianity came about. This was never, it wasn't a religion that are looking for members to join. It was no such thing. These were people, nation of people. Like you have the Russians in Russia, they have their culture. They have their custom. In Philippines, you have these people with their customs and culture. You can't just go in there and say that you're joining and you become that. Do you understand what I'm saying? You could follow what they do. You're still not going to be a Filipino. Even you live there. As I said, you would never be a Filipino because you live there. Even you get dual citizenship, or you give your citizenship up and become a citizen of that area, right? Or that country. Still, you're not a Filipino. You can say that you are and call yourself that, but still you're not. So we have to understand that, right? It doesn't matter who you are. You can't just become a part of someone that you were never a part of in the first place. So, and we're going to discuss more of that later on as well. So you are who you are, just like a dog is a dog. So you have the jaguar, you have the leopard, you have the tiger, you have all these cat family. All of them are different. So a jaguar can't become a tiger. A leopard can't become a jaguar. So you have all of these different, or a panther, or whatever, may I say, or a cougar, or whatever you want to call them, or a puma, whatever. You can't become that. So a tiger has to be a tiger. The nature of a tiger is the nature of a tiger. So this is why the Bible speaks about the Gentiles, because there are different people from the people that the Most High chose, right? So, and we're definitely going to get into that. But first, before we even get into that part of it, the chosen people, right? So we have to understand, when we even come with a religion today, we have to be very careful what we're supporting, right? People. And those of you out there who are innocent of the fact and don't know, because you're just following a blueprint. You're just following something that your mother, your auntie, your uncle, your grandparents, they followed it. And, because you you respect and honor them, you follow the same thing they follow without even asking whether or not anything was wrong with it, or was it right, was it wrong. They did it. People believe everything is right because immediately there's no repercussion, right? You didn't get hurt. You didn't harm yourself, so it's good. Nothing is wrong. Nobody hurt, so it's not causing anybody harm. So we continue to perpetuate, these ideas, right? And perpetuate these lies continually. But in the Most High, in His eyes, what you're doing is wrong if that's not what He said that you're supposed to do. If He didn't say that this is what you should do, then what you're doing is wrong. It doesn't matter, because men or man construct these ideas and tell you that they're true. And then you just follow them without doing any research, without doing any thinking whatsoever. Just believe whatever they say. That's a problem. That's a problem. And this is why the Bible, a lot of people read this Bible and it's confusing to a lot of people. And as you see the title that we have there, Is the Bible the complete word of God, right? And is it? Is everything there the word of God? That's what we're trying to get to. And this is why we're going through the book, because there are things that, as I said, we have to line these things up with, with reality, our reality. This is not a fictional story, right? Or some of these characters in the book are fiction. We're talking about something that for thousands of years people are living a certain way and doing certain things, and prophecies and things that the book talk about could have been coincident. All of these things are lining up somehow. So we have to understand the Bible, right? Completely. And this is why we're taking this time. We are taking this moment, right, to analyze, that which is written there, so we can have a deeper understanding of the truth. Because they're not going to just tell you, right? You can tell the beginning of a people, how they treated you, just like you go to somebody's house and they didn't welcome you there, or they kidnap you and bring you to that house and use you and do all kind of. They didn't offer you anything. They didn't come to you. So this is how you have to judge these people, right? And you have to judge their descendants as well. The Most High is going to do that in the end, because I bring you in my house, or I want you to do something in my house, and instead of I would come to you and kind of make a proposition, or just kind of make an arrangement or some agreement that, okay, I have some things I want to get done. Do you think that you're able to do this for me? And this wasn't the case, right? This wasn't the case that these people in the diaspora that are living here now, right? This wasn't the case. You weren't given an agreement that you left by your own free will to go into another country to work and to help. No, that wasn't the case. You were taken there against your will. This is how you have to look at things. I was taken. My ancestors and their families were taken by force. That means your family back home was destroyed. And not only that you were taken, you were separated on top of that. They didn't want you to teach your children what they didn't need to know, according to them. So they separate everyone, basically. So people were separated. So you weren't just, you were, given an opportunity to sign a piece of paper as an agreement, and you would get such monies at the end of the year or the end of the month or week. There was no such agreement. So you have to understand, if a person have this type of outlook, right, on you as a human being, or a person like themselves, maybe different shade of skin color, right? And they did that to you, and you have to start questioning. Okay, so and you're still living under their rule to this very day. It means that your descendant, your predecessors, right? Your ancestors before you. They were taken. They weren't treated with love and dignity, right? And now you're here, and because this, right? This is what you call this chaos, right? Because of this chaos, how are this whatever happened with your ancestors no longer happened to you, because somehow you're taught that what took place then was then, and it has nothing to do with now, because we're not doing the same thing now, right? To you, right? So we are the new generation now, but the generation before treated my ancestors differently, bad, wickedly, right? And now, okay, they died. Also, the generation of the other people that ruled us and treated us bad exists today as well, right? They were never treated bad. They have never been through the trauma They never been through the horror, the conflict, the terror. They have never been through that, right? But they exist today doing very well. You exist today and they're ruling you still, right? So, you're talking about these people still, right? The descendants of the people that treated your ancestors wickedly exist today, and they're the governing body, right? And you're living under their rule, the very same as your ancestors did then, except now you're telling yourself that it's different. It's different because, right? Let's think about it. It's different because you're not being beaten anymore as your ancestors were before. Right? You're not being beaten anymore as your ancestors were before. You think that you have freedom more. You think because you can get handouts and you can get certain things that you become very comfortable with that and believe that that's the life. But yet, you're fighting for equal rights. Why are you fighting for that? Because the very people, right, that ruled and treated your ancestors wickedly, their descendants, how different are they from them? They didn't sit with you after everything was over, even when they knew what took place, even after the fact that they knew that, these, they were promised, as the history, right? 12 mules or 10 mules or an acre, whatever, 40 acre, whatever it was, right? So the mule and the acres of land that you were supposed to get, you didn't get it. Because somebody execute the person who wanted to do that, to start things out, head to head, like to start things fairly, right? So Lincoln wanted to say, well, all right, you know what, give these men, we already get what we want, we're here. So, so the equal opportunity would exist and we would continue toe to toe, right? And it would be based on a person's dedication to whatever it was to excel themselves further. That was never the case. So the opportunity was taken away from you because you didn't get it. You didn't get the chance to establish yourself, equally with the people, right? That are descendants of the people that treated you wickedly. You didn't get that opportunity, and to this day, right, you still didn't get it. Oh, you're going to say, well, we're in the same job position, but job position has nothing to do with anything. You are working in a society that was created by a group of people, and their descendants is maintaining, right, that society. And they're not letting outsiders to come and to change. You understand me? So you're talking about the Constitution of the United States of America. This Constitution, right, belongs to these people. Right? It's rules, laws that's supposed to govern these people. Freedom of speech, right? Freedom in doing whatever they want to do, right? These things are set up for them to make sure that they have freedom and rights to act, right? And to do that which they feel like they want to do under the law. See, your ancestors, or our ancestors, didn't leave a constitution for us. They were slaves. They were treated bad. They were treated wickedly. There was segregation during that time where our people were somewhere else. So we had to divide ourselves. We had to separate ourselves, right? And doing so, we were able to harness ideas together, right? And our people build things because they realize that, okay, we're not wanted here. We're survivalists. So let's survive. They begin to build, they begin to create things, communities, and even doing so, now even doing that, because they say that the generation after died out. So there's no more hatred, there's no more racism, but yet racism somehow came in. That they destroyed communities. Communities that were built, hard work, people work hard and build because they weren't given handout, right? Or handouts, right? So these people decide to, okay, there's segregation. We're staying where we at and do what we have to do because, we're creative people. So let's do what we can do to build ourselves up. And they did that. That they did. You have to take your hats off to them. They did it with no help from the people who took them, worked them, and didn't pay them and treated them badly, right? They did it, created communities, schools, banking system, everything that would function as a, as a society or, a small country. They did that. But they were envied. They were hated because they did that. That which supposed to be good, that was supposed to make them progress, were taken away from them and people lost their lives. People lost their lives in the process. Now you have to wonder, right? I thought they say that the ancestors before died with their wickedness. How did wickedness escape? Through what creases, what crevice? Which corner did these evil escape so that they end up in this generation, in this modern generation when the generation already died? It means that you are your ancestors, right? You are your ancestors. And whatever legacy your ancestors left behind, that is what they're keeping afloat. So it didn't go anywhere. Racism wouldn't exist today if everybody knew that, well, somebody did wrong. I don't respect that. My family did something wrong. I'm not going to sit here. But everybody enjoy the privilege, the wealth that they didn't work for. So you're in a society and, it's just like you're walking in the woods and you find this high-rise building with condos and beautiful apartments. Nobody there. You just took it over and you just start living in there. Right? You know that it's not yours. But you live there and you'll teach your children and your kids that this place is yours. You wouldn't tell them that you found it. It's an amazing place. But instead of telling them the truth about, well, we found this place. And maybe some people was there and we killed them and we took it over. They didn't tell their kids those things. But even there is documented information that states, because they themselves write about some of the things that they did. So if you're living in this place, but it's not your home, you took it. Some people died and you have your family there. No, you died, you're not there anymore. Your kids are there. Right? Your kids are living there now. Your kids, because you didn't teach them or tell them that, before you died. You didn't tell them that this place is not our place. We actually found it. And maybe one day the owners are going to return. They didn't tell them that. They allowed them to live with the idea and the feeling of being privileged that this is yours. And that's it. It's mine. And as you're my son, my daughters, I'm not here anymore. It belongs to you now. Right? It belongs to you. There is no repercussion. Right? There is none. So don't think that way. Just keep taking care of this legacy that we left behind. Right? And because you owned it. So even you meet one of the descendants and begin to question them about, they're going to tell you, oh, my father. It's the same thing. Same type of history, goes back to what they call the Middle East and what they call Egypt today in that area. It's the same thing. People end up in this area and weren't taught that they were not indigenous to there. Now, they had families there, 2-3 generations, and they believed that they could go back 3 generations and prove that they are, in fact, indigenous to that area. That's not true. That is not true. And this is why we have to do deeper research to find out, because these areas that are occupied and the people that you see there, that's not where they're from. They never lived there for millions or thousands of years. Maybe a few hundred years after they push other groups of people out and take it over. It's same thing like the America. Who was here first? And look who lived here now. Are these the people who call themselves the Americans? No, you can't trace back to these people to say, yeah, they're there. Right? So this is how people get misplaced. This is how it works. So we have to understand, these different levels, right? Before we get into certain topics and begin to uncover certain topics so that people can understand what's going on. So this is what the Bible is, and how you have passed information to someone, and if the people that knew that your parents and people were killed by some lions before, and these lions are still in charge, and these lions are ruling over you, they only allow you because they're raising they're growing livestock, right? And the livestock is to feed them, so every now and then they'll kill one and eat it. Other than that, the kids knew, and their descendant will know that my parents rule, they're above you. I mean, this is the idea, right? This is why other groups of people not supposed to be governed by other groups, right? If you choose to go to another country to live, then you have to decide to follow the rules. This is why the Most High separate everyone. We're meant to be together. Do you get what I'm saying? We're never meant to be together. This is why you have nations of people, different groups of people all over the world. We're not supposed to be in the same place. Everyone's supposed to govern people who look like them. They're people. That's your people. You govern them, and rightfully so. You understand me? You'll feel better to take orders or to follow rules from the people or the persons that look like you. It's actually growing up in this place, you think differently now. For you to have someone rule over you that don't even know who you are. They don't know you because you're not the same people. We're different. It's not by choice you're living there and you have to follow the rules. And you have to bend yourself to apply to their rules and whatever they say. You're talking about that you were taking there and you become subjects later on. Your descendants produce kids within that society, that live within the society now, fall victim to whatever horror or whatever you left behind for them. There's a difference. So we have to learn how to deal with things like this. How do we deal with things like this? We have to learn that. It's a very dangerous thing to sit, right, and not understand what's really taking place. It's a very dangerous thing when we sit and pull the veil over our eyes because we don't want to see what the truth is, because we're comfortable living in the lies. So we don't want to hear anything. We just want to do what we want. So there are much to Christianity, Islam, and other religion out there. By right, they could practice what they want. That's their business. That's their business, who want to practice Islam and who want to practice Christianity. For thousands and thousands of years, there was always groups of people who, lived and who wanted their own, religion, or who believed in their own belief, right? And what they want to believe, and how they, kind of mold the understanding, right, of who God, of who they call God, or who they call the one that create things, or the one that create all things. And men begin to bring this understanding, or trying to understand how the things around them within nature functions and how they work and what makes them work. And even to the point that some people even go further trying to figure out how, you know, how does the human body function, how they themselves even function, and the very utterance from their mouth and sounds and how it was made, their eyes, how they can see the beauty of this world and things around. So there's many, many wise men who, took time to study and spend their whole entire lives trying to figure out and understand how these things work and why they're here and why are these things and how did they exist here. So everybody have their own belief in their own God during those times. And even today, as I said, Christianity is what this religion who try to, what you would say now, let everybody, or gain the collectives, let everybody become a part of this. There was a reason why they went out and did that. It wasn't by, accident. This was a plan to rid the world of who the Israelites were. For those of them who didn't want to comply, they would be killed. And they were killed during the crusade. A lot of Israelites who were living among or other villages or other communities, they were killed. Once they found out that they were Israelite, it's either you convert to Christianity or you would be killed. You understand? So the Israelites have what Christianity have that history. And say, Christians were killing Christians. No. It wasn't Christians or the new religion that came up and the people that call themselves Christian, that they're following the Christ, the anointed. Right? It has nothing to do with them. Right? They just knew that the Israelites, right, were very dangerous people. And if these people knew who their God was, it would be a problem for them. Now, living in a time is like now hearing that Ukraine and Russia is at war. You would have known who is at war. Whichever country won the war or whichever country, was more dominant in the war, you're going to hear the outcome at some point in the history or the media. So even word of mouth, right? Just people around talking about this, oh yeah, Russia went and they invaded Ukraine and they took it over. So these people knew about the Israelites from the very inception and the very moment that they came out of Egypt. They knew who they were. And not only that, these people have been studying after many invasions. But every time Israel sinned, they were kicked out of the land. Because they sinned, they were kicked out. And because of that, other groups of people were able to come in and to get hold of their literature, to get hold of what you would call their spoils, right? They would take whatever they want. And this is how these other nations get information from these people. This is how they got close to them, because they disobeyed the law, the statutes, and the commandments. So they were kicked out of the land, and that's what happened. They were kicked out, and they end up in other people in other areas. But as soon as they begin to find themselves and find their God, guess what happened? Their God would come and deliver them from their enemies and destroy their enemies. So this was a reputation that every other nation out there knew. They know about it. This is why when you read Psalms, it will tell you that they have taken crafty counsel against, God and his people. These people wanted to get rid of them because these people weren't someone that you could push over. They were very mighty people, mighty because God was with them all the time. Through their oppression, you understand? Through their uprising. Even when they go to war, they were a small group and they defeated armies because the Most High was with them. So, which nation outside would have never feared them? Everybody feared the Israelites. So, when this new religion comes about, They wanted to convert them, even during the Greek. I don't know if you guys read that in the Greek captivity. It's the same